there's something quite extraordinary happening at Old Trafford, something most people haven't truly noticed yet. Beneath the noise, beneath the chaos, Rúben Amorim is trying to rebuild one of football's greatest fallen empires. When he arrived, he didn't promise miracles, he promised a mission: to bring Manchester United back to the top of English football where they belong. Our goal, he said calmly, is to win the Premier League. Those words weren't naive, they were a declaration of war against mediocrity. Because what Amorim inherited wasn't just a struggling team, it was a broken identity. Manchester United, the club that once defined dominance, swagger, and fear, had become a ghost of itself. Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, United had cycled through 10 managers, spent nearly £2 billion, and still managed to lose not just games, but its soul. The hunger was gone. The values were gone. The belief that this club should expect to win, not hope to win, was gone too. They'd gone from demanding greatness to celebrating mediocrity. Even Jose Mourinho once warned about this, calling it football heritage. City, he said, had built their own heritage through consistency, structure, investment, and identity. Hence their recent success. United, by contrast, had inherited dysfunction. Amorim, stepping into this wreckage, found himself trying to resolve something much deeper than form. He was trying to restore meaning. It's an impossible job on paper, but then again, we've seen the story before. Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. When Mikel arrived at Arsenal, he walked into a similar mess. A club stripped of its identity, languishing in mid-table and haunted by its past. Yet, through structure, belief, and refusal to compromise, Arteta rebuilt everything. Not overnight, but brick by brick. Arsenal has become a machine again, tactically brilliant, defensively disciplined, and full of conviction. Arteta has transformed Arsenal from a mid-table side into one of Europe's elite. No longer just outsiders in the title race. The Gunners are now seen as genuine favorites for the Premier League and the Champions League. Even the Opta supercomputer backs them. Over the past 3 seasons, they boast of Europe's best defense, conceding only 3 goals in their first 14 matches this season. Arsenal have evolved into a machine, measured, precise, and ruthless. They dominate set pieces, dictate tempo, and rarely lose their cool. And what's fascinating is how similar Arteta's journey mirrors Rúben Amorim's. Both men walked into institutions built on chaos. Both refused to bend under pressures or abandon their vision when results were in kind. Both tore everything down to rebuild something new. Arteta once said, "We had lost the soul of this club." Amorim could say the same about United. He knew his first job wasn't about tactics or transfers, it was about standards. He wanted accountability, unity, and effort. If you didn't buy in, you were out. Simple as that. Just like Arteta had to make tough decisions, cutting ties with big names like Ozil and Aubameyang, Amorim did the same thing. Rashford, Sancho, Antony, Onana, even young stars like Garnacho, none were untouchable. Reputation meant nothing. Contribution meant everything. And for the first time in years, Manchester United started looking less like a collection of individuals and more like a football team again. 6 years later, Arteta's project has blossomed. Arsenal now sit proudly at the top of the Premier League, balanced, lethal, and complete in every department. Rúben Amorim, on the other hand, is at the early stages of his own revolution. His Manchester United side are beginning to show signs of real progress, climbing to 8th on the table, separated by 2 points from second place Man City, after impressive wins over Liverpool, Chelsea, Brighton, and Sunderland, and even outplaying Arsenal for long stretches despite the final scoreline. You can feel it. The tactics are taking shape, the players are starting to believe, and the identity is coming back. 2 masterminds, 2 rebuilds, and one haunting similarity. Amorim just might be walking the same path Arteta did when he turned Arsenal from chaos into title favorites. However, he'd have to be afforded time. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has come out to back Amorim. He used Arsenal as an example and informed all who cared to listen that the project with Amorim is a long-term one. He insisted Amorim would be afforded time. This is precisely what Arteta had to rebuild Arsenal. Amorim has started to rebuild, but unlike the past, this isn't about big names or flashy signings. It's about fit. Amorim and the United board finally started thinking like a football club, not a marketing company. they're targeting players who can serve the system. Benjamin Sesko, a forward with terrifying potential. Matthias Cunha, Premier League ready, unpredictable, and dynamic. Brian Mbeumo, another Premier League proven player, a workhorse with end product. And Sene Lamens, a young goalkeeper chosen not for fame, but for his raw potential and how he fits into the system. Of course, the start was ugly. There were defeats to Arsenal, a humiliation at the hands of League 2 side Grimsby Town in the Carabao Cup, and endless questions from fans and pundits. At one point, Amorim's win rate was the worst of any United manager since World War II. But beneath the results, something was brewing. The team's data was improving. Better pressing numbers, higher expected goals, more control. It was the calm before the storm. And then, everything started to click. United beat Chelsea 2-1, shut out Sunderland 2-0, went to Anfield and finally broke a 9-year curse by beating Liverpool on their own turf. They followed with a 2-1 dismantling of Brighton. For the first time in years, United looked alive, energetic, structured, and fearless. The patterns were obvious. The team pressed with intelligence, defended with purpose, and attacked with rhythm. Amorim wasn't guessing anymore. He was building. If all this feels familiar, it's because it is. When Arteta took over at Arsenal, performances were marked by inconsistency. One moment showing promise, the next collapsing under pressure. Pundits questioned, fans grew impatient, some openly branded Arteta a fraud and called for his sack. Victories were rare. Arteta went through the same storm at Arsenal. The same growing pains, the same skepticism. And just like Arteta, Amorim isn't managing for today. He's building for tomorrow. Every decision, every training session, every uncomfortable conversation serves one purpose: to restore United's identity. The transformation is becoming visible. Defensively, United now boast the center back with the most duels won in the Premier League. Offensively, Amorim's signature double triangle structure, fluid combinations between midfield and wing, has begun to tear apart defenses. On the right, Amad Diallo and Mbeumo have become one of the most dangerous duos in England. On the left, Cunha, Bruno Fernandes, and Diogo Dalot rotate with precision. And up front, Sesko and Mason Mount are beginning to develop a chemistry that's as industrious as it is intelligent. In their last 3 matches, United scored 8, conceded 3, and kept a clean sheet in Lehmann's debut. The numbers aren't everything, but the feeling is. For the first time in a decade, Old Trafford believes again. The fear, the aura, the expectation, they're coming back. If you zoom out and connect the dots, the similarities between Amorim and Arteta are undeniable. Both inherited clubs that were more museum than machines. Both endured humiliations, criticism, and pressure that would have broken lesser coaches, but both stayed loyal to their vision. Arteta's Arsenal are now one of Europe's most balanced teams. Intelligent, composed, and defensively elite. Amorim's Manchester United aren't there yet, but you can see the direction. The blueprint is the same: youth, clarity, and structure over chaos. And that's why those paying attention know. This isn't another false dawn at Old Trafford. This is the foundation of something real. Rúben Amorim isn't chasing results, he's rebuilding belief. And if the parallels hold true, then just like Arteta turned Arsenal from doubters into contenders, Amorim might just be the man to wake a sleeping giant. Because maybe, just maybe, Manchester United aren't broken forever. Maybe they're just beginning to remember who they really are.